JGB.
JGB.
Yeah, right. Good band.
So my first talk in this month of January, because I was not speaking last week, I was here, but Spirit had other plans for me to sit in the audience and enjoy Rev Margaret Morgan, who was just delightful. She's on YouTube in case you want to catch that talk. It was really good. But the whole theme for the new year and for January is, how shall we live this year? How shall we live this year? We might need a new design, if you will, for living. Let's design our living, consciously design our living. This month we're going to be exploring strong and clear intentions for living our lives. So that's what we're going to be talking about today to start this whole new year off. Scripture says, "This is a day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." Isn't that such a beautiful, beautiful verse to always remember that when we wake up? This is a day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day we have the opportunity, because we always have a new opportunity, to begin anew, to start all over again, all over again. The past doesn't exist. The future's not here, right now. And of course, we have that opportunity at any time, but in particular, when it's the end of one year and the beginning of a new year, we seem to be more cognizant, if you will, of the fact that, let me set an intention for this year. So I want to be really clear in that we are not going to do today what we're not going to do today. I want to be very clear on what we're not going to do today. I'm not going to talk about self-assessment that usually occurs at this time of year. You know, where you review the whole last year and what you're going to give up and how you're going to improve this year. We decide what changes to make in the new year, and if we are serious in that process, really serious, we may come up with a to-do list, which we affectionately call our New Year's resolution. I don't do, personally, but we do that. And so what often happens is we begin with really good intentions for the new year, and for our new, we have this resolution. Resolution. So, that's an inside joke for the boy. Okay. So what often happens, though, is with these good intentions, we fall short. We fall short in fulfilling them and following through with them. So by the end of the month, by the end of January and February, we simply give up and drift back into those, in the comfortable but old way of our past experience that might not be serving us. So, have you ever heard this? This is a saying. Have you ever heard this saying, "May your troubles be as long as your New Year's resolution"? So that's kind of like, I guess, wishing people well. Often with New Year's resolutions, we attempt to change behavior, right? We're attempting to change behavior without changing the consciousness that produced the behavior, cause and effect, right? It doesn't have to be that way. So to change behavior, it's not as effective as going to our consciousness and the belief system within that caused the whatever it is that we want to change. So what is called for is an actual change or belief, especially about what we believe about ourselves. If we have adopted the world's view, it's that we are individual, we're separate, we're all individual entities functioning separately. That's basically the world of form and the collective unconscious, where all it's always about us, and it's just, it's a separatism. So what we are doing here in New Thought is coming into that unified state of oneness and to live our lives from a place of knowing that we are not separate from Source. We just finished on Thursday the Four Agreements class, which was just a really great class. I do it right through the holidays because I feel like I need it, so got to teach it. And if you want to come along, which we had some wonderful people who are here now who did, but if we can follow, adhere a little bit to those 4 agreements, wow, we could change our entire life. Amazing. Be impeccable with your word. Not just what you speak, but what you think. Never take anything personally. Well, I don't do that. No one else here does, right? I'll take it. We never make assumptions. And the action step, always do your best, which makes the other 3 agreements function. Always doing our best. So we do our best. And that's what we do. So by living with these 4 agreements, we can possibly shift the consciousness, which would then help us set a strong intention, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And science of mind comes in here too, because at the very heart of our teaching is that message of oneness. There is one power, one God, one spirit, whatever you want to call it, and one mind, and each of us is an aspect of that. We're all individualized creations of the oneness of the divine, that creative energy, because that's what God is. Creative energy that's always creating out of itself. And so we, as microcosms of that, then, we are creating our lives. We're not separate. We use a power. We use a power that's already present. We can't see it. We can't see all the good stuff. It's invisible. It's always invisible. Our emotions are invisible. So it's just moving into that place of unifying with knowing that we have a power within us to consciously create, to consciously think. And our ignorance of this does not change the ability of the law to work, because the law is always working, whether we are conscious of it or not. So we're each a part of this unified field, and at any moment we can wake up to this reality. This is a reality, and it is a waking up. So the message of the great mystics have all said the same thing. For instance, the Buddha, when asked what his name was, replied, "I am awake." That's what his reply was. I am awake. The essence of what Jesus was getting at when he said you must be born again was basically the same thing. We are being born again in the fact that, like, you know, I used my little 18-month or 19-month-old twins. I mean, they're all innocent, and they haven't been domesticated, according to Don Miguel Ruiz. So they're just present in the moment, living life consciously, but not with that consciousness of awareness. It's just the natural state of being. And then somewhere along the way, we forget. And so we go into that illusion, that dream state, and we live our lives from our conditions, which usually doesn't turn out the way we want them to, because we keep repeating the same thing over. It doesn't serve us. And so that then is where we get to be born again, which is to reestablish our awareness, to become aware again that I can create what I want to experience in my life. Children do it. Do you see them? They basically get what they want. They don't think about the next meal. They don't think about whether they're going to say. It's just a natural. So we go to sleep, we forget, and now we're born again to awaken up to the truth of our being, which is we're powerful creators. And so this is consciously choosing, not just letting life happen to us. And that's the teachings of science of mind here. That's the teachings that we are powerful creators. So this morning our work is to look at what our design for living this year will be, how it shall be. And how do you intend for God to use you, this power to use you? Because it's moving through us. It moves through us, in us, and as us. So how are you intending to connect with this infinite essence of divinity, this the truth of each and every one of us? It's a powerful good, and it resides right in the very core of our being. It's our eternal self. That's so powerful to know. So in other words, what are your intentions for the year 2013? What Not what do you plan to do this year, but what is your intention? And we're going to look at that in a few moments because we have a little thing we're going to do at the end of the talk. In addition to that, we're going to look at another question that plays right into that. What atmosphere and energy do you want to set this intention in? What atmosphere or energy do you want to set this intention in? And that's what we will explore today, not only for you individually, but for our spiritual community, for this spiritual community. But first, I want to spend a few moments looking at the power of intention, because it's very extremely powerful, much more powerful than we really know. Dr. Wayne Dyer once wrote, "Intention is a force that exists in the universe as a field of energy." We know that everything is energy. And Ernest Holmes said, "There is a powerful good in the universe and we can use it," which basically the same thing, the same exact thing. The truth is, we all begin with the same raw material. We all do. But it's what we do with it that matters. We all begin with the same, and I have an example. A plain bar of iron, okay, a plain bar of iron is worth about $5. The same bar of iron made into horseshoes is worth $10.50. And if you turn this bar into needles, it becomes worth $3,285. Somebody figured this out. I didn't. And if you turn this into springs for a watch, the balance springs for a watch, it attains a worth of over $250,000. Same raw material. So I want us to think about the question then, what is God's idea for that bar of iron in your life? That raw material, that's you. Is it horseshoes, needles? Is it the springs for the watch? Or is it one of the other millions of options that there are available? Limitless possibilities are available. So we're gonna talk about that, and we're also gonna talk about what is God's idea for the spiritual side. Also, you really do get to decide. Nobody makes the decisions for you. It might look that way, but it's not true. You get to decide. And science is proving this over and over again, that metaphysics and physics come closer and closer together. And it's being proved in the science world. There was recently an article published in a scientific journal. I thought this was really interesting. The article was entitled, big long title, "How the Power of Intention Alters Matter, Scientific Proof that Human Intention Raises Local Symmetry in the Substratum of Space," which is the layers of space. This article discussed a series of experiments by a Dr. William Tiller. And it pretty much very clearly shows us how that the human consciousness can change space. It actually can change space. We're powerful, beyond anything we can ever imagine. Dr. Tiller's experiment began by imprinting electrical devices with a specific intention upon them. The imprinting was done by 4 experienced metaphysicians or meditators. And Tiller said that these are people who are highly inner, self-managed people. These are heavy-duty meditators. So when this device, this is a fact, when this device imprinted with intent, the intent was imprinted on it, was wrapped in aluminum and sent overnight shipping to a laboratory 2,000 miles away, where it was placed next to the target experiment and turned on. So, for example, one electronic device was imprinted with the idea of raising the pH level of water. When the device was turned on in the vicinity of a jar of water, the expectation was that the pH would rise significantly, enough that they could really measure it. And if you've had a fish tank, you know that 1 unit is a lot in pH, if you measure the pH of the water in a fish tank. So it's a pretty big, a pretty big amount. So they wanted to measure this. And the fact is that they were able to achieve an unambiguous change in the water's pH levels state simply through its being in the vicinity of this electrical device that was imprinted with intention, with the intention that it would expand and raise the pH level. And they were able to raise the pH level 1.5 full units. So that's pretty measurable. But it was when this is the interesting part, when the same experiment was repeated over and over, repetitive, that's how we get our new behaviors, over and over, that really significant effects began to show. Fatila found and proved that when intent is repeated, when it's repeated in the same space, eventually it becomes permanent. And when this happens, the law of physics in that space no longer operate as they did before. They're shifted, they're changed, they're different. And for a meaningful analogy of this is, it's when it was impossible to run, if you remember this, a 4-minute mile. It was considered impossible to run a 4-minute mile. When they kept doing this same experiment, though, over and over again, till it said the laboratory began to become conditioned so that the same result would happen over and over again, even when they removed this electrical device. So the same thing was happening over and over again. In one of the spaces that they used, the alteration in the space of the room remained stable for well over a year, and it was still powerful and strong. So as a corollary, now you know that you can't get on a track team if you can't run a 4-minute mile. It's so ingrained now because we shifted when somebody set that strong intention of running that 4-minute mile, which was considered impossible to do. And we can look back at the history of all kinds of experiments and behaviors and see that when someone sets a strong intention and attains it, and then repeats it over and over again, it becomes normal. We raise the bar, if you will. So, author George Leonard, he wrote The Field of Human Potential. He wrote, ultimately, human intentionality is the most powerful evolutionary force on this planet. That we're really powerful. So the intentions that we set for ourselves really are very, very powerful. And the law, which we know will respond to those strong intentions, will bring forth the manifestation of them. It's just try it. That's what Ernest Holmes says. If you don't believe this teaching and you're skeptical, then just try it. See if it works. And if it works, keep it and expand upon it. And as for our center, as we set an intention and a theme for our lives and for this spiritual center for 2013, we're going to do both. We're going to set an intention for ourselves and for the spiritual center. So, what do I mean by an intention and a theme? Because the theme part is very important. Well, first, the intention. What is the broad intention for your life? The broad intention for your life. Are we looking at the what of life as the broad intention? Because the broad could be something like, and I'll give you some examples, I intend to go deeper and higher in spirit. I intend to be an ambassador of God. I intend to see the divine everywhere and in everyone. I intend to live from a place of real, unconditional love. I intend to express Spirit's abundance in all areas of my life. I intend to experience an awakening of consciousness. I intend to live from my divine purpose. These are all intentions, and they can go on and on, whatever you want to experience, whatever you want to experience. And so then, what do I mean by the theme? Because the theme is going to go with the intention. theme is the how. And I want to be very clear here about the how, because we do the what's. So the how, as in the details of how it's going to happen, that's not where we go. We let God do the hows. We set the what's, and we let the divine do the hows, because it's always better than anything we could plan. But here, rather, the how that we're looking at is the atmosphere. The atmosphere or the energy of the desired intention. So here's an example. We'll use what we used before. I intend to go deeper and higher in spirit while living, moving, and having my being in joy. So the theme for the year then is joy. And the intention is to go deeper and higher in God. I intend to be an ambassador of God as I experience unshakable faith and confidence. So the theme for the year is faith and confidence. And the intention is to be an ambassador of God. I intend to see God in everything and everyone in profound peace. So the theme, profound peace. So you're getting the idea. So that's the atmosphere, that's the energy that we want to experience. So in the atmosphere of profound peace, I see God in everyone and everything. So you see how it's, you have the intention and you're rooting it in an atmosphere, in a theme, in a real theme. So for harmonious, here's another one. To live from a place of real unconditional love as I experience harmonious relationships. Theme for the year, harmonious relationships. Intention, live from real love. Okay, so that's important. So in a moment we're going to do a process, an internal process for tapping into the intention and theme that you might want. Well, you're going to tap into it for your life and for the spiritual center. But first, an important word. There's something very important, really, really important, that we must do once we set our intention. Does anyone know what it is?
Let it go.
Thank you. I knew we'd have a couple of geniuses in the room. You're all geniuses. Let it go. We let it go. We let it go. We set our intention. We set our theme. We've embodied that. We know that. And then we let it go. We don't think about it constantly. We let it go. So, and here's an example of how you would want to let something go. An idea dropped into the subconscious is like a letter in the mailbox. Love this one. This is a good one. Just know that the message was delivered and your result is on the way, right? You put the letter in the mailbox and you don't think about it again. Well, after you set your intention and theme and release it to God, when you mail a letter, you must also let that letter go too. Know that it's getting delivered to where you send it to. After dropping the letter in the mailbox, do you stand there to make sure that no one tampers with it? Do you watch to see that the letter carrier tucks it away safely? Do you follow him or her back to the post office?
Sometimes.
Do you tail the letter through the storing process? Insist on sitting next to the mail sack while it's being flown across the country? Think about what we do with our thoughts.
Yeah.
Follow it through our sorting. We start sorting through it. Do we do a security check on the postal handler to make sure that they're, you know, right with it? And do we make sure that the addressee picks it up? But this is what we
down the mailbox.
This is what we do with our intentions and our thoughts, though. We think about them, we set them, and then we continuously wonder if they're working, if they're in the right place. It goes on and on. Well, at some point then, early in the process, we must realize that we let go and we let God. So what we're going to do in a minute, you all have something in your bulletins that we're going to get to. So the same, the same is true here as it is with the letter carrier. We let it go, knowing that it is done. So everyone has in their bulletin 2 pieces of paper, which I don't have now. So we're going to do a quick little, because our visioning really takes a lot longer than a minute or two, but it's something that can keep us going on our way. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use 2 questions in the visioning process that we do here. And the first one is my design for my life in 2013. So it's setting your intention. And you can put your name, it's for you. This is for you to keep. The other one we would like you to, the other one is for our spiritual center, and what I'd like you to do is when the offertory basket comes around later on, just drop your intention for our center into the basket. Then we have it. All right, so I'd like you to take a breath right now. Just get comfortable and empty your mind of anything that's gone on before this here, now moment. This is where we are consciously setting an intention, consciously knowing what it is that we might want to experience in 2013. So the very first question in the visioning process is what is the intention that you would like for yourself in 2013? You can write whenever you want. Think about this is the purpose of the visioning. So some are going to move to a higher state of that intention. And the higher state of that intention is, what is the highest vision that the divine has for my intention of 2013? What is the highest vision that God has for my intention in 2013? Think about it. Just write. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? This is the divine that's working through us. It makes the hows so much easier for us. And so, you can write that down on your paper, and then think about the theme. What are you rooting and anchoring this intention in? Is it in a place of what you want to really feel, of peace, of abundance, of love, of excitement and enthusiasm, joy? That's the atmosphere that you set your intention into. So write down your theme. And you can add to this later on, and sometimes these answers they do come later. They can come at any time. We've planted the seed right here, right now. And so the other piece of paper you have is for Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center. My design, intention. What is your intention for this spiritual center? Because you're all a part of this community that makes up the whole Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center. Without you, there isn't a spiritual center. So what is your intention? And then think about what is the highest vision? What is the divine vision that's moving through me in my intention at the spiritual center? And then you'll move into the theme. What is the theme that you want to root and anchor that intention in? So again, in the peace and the joy and the growth and the beauty and the friendship and the love. Write that down. So as you continue to write, I'm going to end the talk with a treatment on a spiritual mind treatment, which is affirmative prayer, on release. Because that's what we're doing. We're releasing these intentions into the infinite law that takes what we think and feel and brings it into perfect demonstration in our lives if we have the faith and trust and don't doubt. And so, I absolutely am so aware of the infinite nature of God itself, of this intelligence that operates everywhere, all of the time. Omnipresent spirit, omniscient spirit, always powerful, always present, and always all-knowing. This infinite intelligence that creates out of its own nature of good, because the very nature of this one life is the nature of good itself. Perfect good. This is a giving universe. It gives of itself continuously. This can be trusted because this is the activity of the divine. It creates and it gives. And so knowing that to be truth and having the faith that that is the truth, that is what I align myself with, this infinite nature of good. Knowing that the universe always says yes, never holds anything back, always gives what is thought into it. And so I therefore speak this word for each one here at Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center. Each one here, right here and now. That as each one has moved into and planted that seed into the soil of the infinite law, that it is taking root already. It is already taking root. And so the deeper it goes, the higher it blooms. And so that thought, that intention, that strong, clear intention planted in this soil, this atmosphere, this theme of love, of peace, of limitlessness, is already unfolding itself in each and everyone's life. This is the year 2013 to live your dream, to live your dream in the year 2013. Dare to dream of the greatest way to live your life. Think of what it is that you would like the theme to be for this coming year in your life. What is it that you want to experience, because the law always says yes. So think something high, think something good, think something powerful for yourself. And that will be your experience. I guarantee it. And I know it through my consciousness. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful for these spiritual truths that we live our lives by. We live our life in the spiritual truth if we become aware. Aware that there is a power for good that is operating through us, waiting for us to use it. And so we use it wisely. We use it with strong intention, a strong theme, and knowing that this word can never return void. I fully, completely, and absolutely release it into that infinite law of divine mind, where this word is fulfilled in perfection, in divine right order, right here, right now, in each and everyone's life. I claim that as done, as truth, and so it is. Amen. So it is.